All right, guys, decided it's time for a little bit of an aquatics update. I think the biggest news is Dorothy has finally picked the color for the facade. It's not the color I would have picked, but I think it's going to be kind of cool. I'll take you over to the timber frame pond to show you the rails that I'm going to put on here. I originally thought she's going to want to paint the whole thing one color, but she wants me to do the rails like I did in the timber frame pond, so they'll be stained a dark brown on the top, capping that blue. And who knows, maybe someday she'll stencil it like she did the pole over there or something. I don't know, but yeah, not what I would pick, but it does give a pop of color and some festivity to the area. And I told her, be bold, pick whatever you want. If you decide you hate it, you know, a few months from now, you can just always repaint it. But I think she'll like it. Anyway, here come the big modifications, I guess. As you notice, there are no longer ebb and flow beds up on top of these. I decided it was just not really a good location to manage them. It completely blocked off access to the tanks. And with this system being what it is, running water from so far away up to here, and with the circulation of this system being so critical to its health, if anything went wrong with one of them, it could cause catastrophic failure to the system. And we had a pretty close, not quite, but pretty close to catastrophic failure while I was on vacation. And I'm trying to build these systems to a point where, you know, I can leave and leave any reasonable person in charge and not come back to a bunch of dead fish or plants or whatever. So I decided to simplify it. So what I did is, you can look, I took and rerouted the supply line down below so that when we finish the facade off, it'll be not completely concealed, but it really won't be in your eye. All you'll see is these little pipes coming up here. My initial thought was to do spray bars. I built those out at a 1/2 inch, so it's a 1 inch supply line, and it goes to a 1/2 inch bushing that then controls the 1/2 inch. The main reason I did that is because I had the 1/2 inch valves, and these valves in 1 inch are about $6 a piece. So these are about $1.80, and I have a whole bunch of them anyway, and I would have needed to buy, you know, 18 bucks worth of 1 inch lines, and I already had everything else, so I figured 1/2 inch was fine for this last little piece here. The problem was when I built these spray bars, with all of the detritus that moves through this system, you can see that's, try to do this one-handed here, but it was a constant battle of them clogging up and having to clean them out, which completely defeated the purpose of removing the ebb and flow beds and trying to simplify the design. The other thing was, you had to run them slow enough that you didn't get as much agitation as we're getting off a simple 1/2 inch valve now. As you can see that, we're getting massive agitation in all 3 tanks. And I might actually be, what I'm doing right now is I just reset this system, and I'm waiting to see how balanced it stays to make sure these tanks aren't going to fill up too fast, and then they can come up about another 1/2 inch each to be where I really want them. So I'll probably be turning things up. But as you can see, when we're running that, this is the overflow off of there down in the middle pond. I mean, it is cooking, and it has been since we even had the spray bars in, except when they were clogged up. And if you look, that arm is set lower than it has been, and so is this one down here. And that's just because we're bringing water in faster, so we're lowering the overflow to speed things through so we can maintain a balance in the system's height without overflowing these tanks, if that makes sense. So come on down here. You can see we have that arm way lower than it's usually been. It's usually been about right there. So we drop that down. This arm sets the level in that tank, and that tank getting the water out of those 3 tanks in one shot was really teetering toward the edge. So I wanted to try to move water through here as fast as I possibly could. The faster the water turns over, the healthier the system. So what's the matter, guys? Dana cat, I guess. Anyway, so when I had this system tuned in yesterday, I might have to play with it, but the number I was able to achieve and get everything balanced and really doing well, put a 1 gallon pail under that, and it fills in 10 seconds flat. So that's 6 gallons a minute. That's 360 gallons an hour. There's about 1,200 gallons in the system. Translation, this system is now turning over 6.8 to 7 times a day. The entire system is completely turning over about once every 3.5 hours. So that is going to create a really healthy system for us. And again, you can see the speed that water's coming back through there at. That little faucet right there, that pump that runs the whole system is there. That's just taking some of the pressure off, because obviously I have way more delivery up there than I need. I've gone off of I can't remember the pump that I usually use in these systems for this one. I'm still using it in the timber frame pond. But I've gone to the Lanchez cast iron pump with an integrated float valve here. I'm much happier with it. It's the same one I'm using in my aquaponics system. So I have one of those here. I have one back in the aquaponics system, and I went ahead and bought a third one. I have it on a shelf in there. That way, if either of these two pumps fail, all I got to do is pull it off the shelf and replace it. These pumps seem to last a long damn time based on reviews though, so I'm not too worried about it. The older pump, and again, the names escape me right now, that is in the timber frame pond, I chose to use that there because we're not going, I'll show you in just a second, but we're not really asking much out of it, and it's doing a fine job. Plus I had two of them. 2 is 1, 1 is none. So there's one in there, and there's one on a shelf in the building. So if that pump ever fails, swap it out. When I do the next timber frame pond, which is going to be here and twice the size of the one you're about to see, I'm going to use the Lanchez pump that's in here. That way I got 3 systems running. I only need 1 spare, and if that spare is called on, we'll use it and we'll bring another one in. Oh, let's see. How you doing, ducks? Ducks have a full swale today. Semi-full anyway. They're happy. That means I don't have to fill pools for them today. Cody, my farmhand, will be here tomorrow, and he can do two paddocks worth of pools for me. Move out of the way through the mid swale. And here's the timber frame pond. Looking great, just banging with diversity. You can see this is something cool. You know, always check what your neighbors have available. These are dark purple irises. And a neighbor of mine on a website called Nextdoor, it's spelled just like it sounds, Nextdoor. It's like Facebook, but just for your neighborhood and surrounding neighborhoods. She had hundreds of these. She was doing divisions in her garden, and she was giving them away for free. So I have, I don't know, I got about 50 off her. I got like, there's 8 right here. They're just being kept. These are really great water plant. They're a beautiful water plant. You know, people say, oh, I want a water iris. An iris is an iris is an iris. They just have to grow good in bog-like environments. So I got a bunch of these. I put a bunch up for my buddy David. He's going to take them over to his water gardens. And so just that's a little piece of advice. Now what I wanted to point out is you see the color here. And this is what Dorothy wants me to do for the cap rails over there at the tanks we started out at. So this is a 2x10. I might do 2x12s up there to get a little bit more width because it's so far back from the tanks. But I'm going to paint it with this same stain, and I think it'll look good, that dark brown contrasted against her festive blue there. I think it'll look pretty good. Anyway, man, you know, these ebb and flow beds are banging, as long as we don't ask for something that needs a lot of nutrient. You see we're doing sweet potato, we're doing mint, little celery. So that's what I do. I buy whole celery now, and I pull it apart down to the core, shove it in one of my ebb and flow beds. Taro's looking good. This spray bar has no problem. One of the reasons this, you see the pump right down there, this system balances so well is that it is balanced. I'm not sending like the water one direction and taking a bit off each way. There's 2 legs in this. One goes to there and one goes to there, the exact same distance. They feed those 2 beds. And then there's a second arm that goes out to there and out to there. So this system is absolutely balanced on both legs, and that makes this system like really, really resilient. I've not had any problems, little green onion coming up in there, at all, keeping this system running just like a top. I mean, I don't ever touch this one. Once in a while I'll come out and I'll open the supply valves just all the way up and put them right back where they were just to make sure they stay clean. But honestly, I haven't had to do literally anything with this system. Dwarf cattail going. And here you can see what I'm talking about. So this is a plant called Consus. They're also known as Chinese artichoke. And you can see that it's a member of the mint family, but it doesn't have any mint-like characteristics. You actually eat the tubers. It grows little roots. They look like, when you see a picture of them, they look like some kind of weird little maggot or something, like some kind of worm, but they're actually just a little tuber. They're quite good, but you can see that it's not very happy. It's just not getting enough nutrient. I mean, you got geez, 1,400 gallons of water there and 4 grow beds. And you know, I'm not going to overstock this system and cause it problems with balance. This is basically a pond system like the other one we just looked at. But man, we are just, and we're eating this stuff as fast as you can. We're eating the sweet potato greens as fast as you can, and it's just one system of many on the property. But you can kind of visualize what I'm talking about. Our next timber frame pond, this one's 8 by 8. It's going to be 16 by 8. So it's just going to be basically here where you have like the log cabin style build crossing over, another leg going out, and then it'll turn. And I'm thinking about ways to reinforce it. And what I'm thinking about doing is basically right at that junction, bringing up a 4x4 on each side and bridging it across, and then it'll have some kind of a, you know, a thing going across it. We could do some cool stuff with that. Maybe put some sort of fountain or something off of that, or some lighting that would look really cool. But man, I am such a fan of this design. This came out better than we could have ever expected. Again, I think Dorothy's festive blue with a cap rail like that is going to look pretty nice. I'll put lights on that one up there, like the lights I have running here. I have solar lights running here. What I'm trying to do is create hangouts. You know, every one of these little bar tops is a place when we have 40 or 50 people here that people can get together and hang out and have a beer or a meat or what have you. Anyway, that's what I'm doing with my Sunday morning. I'm about to go make some deer stew and some venison stew and watch some football. Take care, guys. Cat's dropped in to say hello. We'll do a little cat cam before we sign off. Dana cat and Fox cat. And I know what they want. They want their cans, don't you, Fox? Let's go see Fox. You guys want to go get breakfast? All right, guys, we'll catch up with you later.